Can I spend 10 years building a zoo, adding a wide variety of different dinosaurs, making my guests happy and also the dinosaurs? So the first thing I did at the start of the zoo is raise the ground. Then we can add our arrival point. Now we're going to need a little plaza for the guests to come into. This was the layout I had for now. I added a bit of decoration and knew I needed some toilets. And then we're going to branch off and do some amenities. I got a shape I was happy with. We're going to need a food stand, a drink stand, and a lovely gift shop so I guess spend money. So I guess enjoy themselves. So I'm just going to branch it off a little bit here because I wanted an enclosure as soon as you walk in. And now to flatten the land. There we go, the land's all flat. And now to start with the fencing. Now you may be thinking that's a bit of a small enclosure, however, I'm just doing this so I can get the exact size that my dinosaurs would actually want. We have 4 brachiosaurs. And we have a herd of paras into this enclosure. This is a nudge to the Jurassic Park film. And then once all these guys are in, we can get rid of the hatchery and actually focus on the enclosure. Right, so I guess after looking in, we have the first enclosure down. And then moving on towards this part, we have another viewing platform along with a hotel. And if we keep going, we have the aviary, which guests are already coming to have a nosy at, and I haven't even added any dinosaurs in. So I got straight on to decorating. I did a lot of water, I added some feeders, trees as well. Then I needed to add some rocks. So we're going to have a big one here.
Ha, big one.
Another big one, just here. I added sand around the water. Oh, can't see. Every perch pole. We'll jot a few of these around. So I'm going to want this over here and another one just here, just in the back. So welcome our tapijaras. Then we added another round of them. Ew, I feel so creepy. And our tapijaras are resting above the viewing platform. I started branching over this way. Then people were complaining about the lack of amenities, so I did a little plaza for them. Now I have the plaza, I can do the amenities. I added 2 of each buildings and also added some toilets. Now we're going to cover this in forest. I added a bit of decoration into this little plaza for my guests. And finally our guests have decided to make their way over here. Branching over here, we're going to do a new aviary. Then I got on to editing the enclosure for them. I added feeders. Then over here, I'm going to cover it in sand. And this will be their little resting area. Welcome the Dimorphodons. Now branching off this way, onto a new enclosure, as the dinosaur species was lacking. So we're going to have a sandy enclosure. I added a little bit of hills into their enclosure just so it wasn't so flat. Then I added some water down. I'm going to add a tiny bit of forest around, just so it's not so bare in here. We want our guests to be happy, so we're going to add a viewing gallery. We have the carnotaurus. And we added 3 more as well. Since our dinosaurs are in, they need some food. And we want that out of the view of the guests. I ended up expanding their enclosure a little bit, and then the carnivores were all happy. And once the guests come, I'm sure they'll be pleased. I wanted to connect the plaza to the other side, so I did. So let's get our big path out. And just cut down some trees. And there we go. So the park is still all connected. I decided to add a guest attraction and then do an enclosure right next to it. And we're going to cover it in sand. So with this small enclosure we have our compies, as you can see. And they managed to all fit in this one little enclosure, with 2 viewing galleries just for our guests. Alongside our carnotaurus, who wanted a nice snack. Om nom nom. Year 5 came around pretty quickly. And there we go, that's already 5 enclosures done. And I guess are slowly adventuring. Okay, so we've added a lot of detail around the park. We added more emergency shelters. I added some cute decorations outside the carnotaurus enclosure and the compies. We do have a new enclosure set up with no dinosaurs in just yet. Moving on, we had a new amenity put in, a new hotel and a new little decorative place put in. We also added a new emergency shelter in this little plaza here. And then moving on, we added toilets to this area with some trees dotted around, and the same on this side. And we do have another enclosure set up. And then just branching over here, we have a guest attraction, which is an aquarium, because this is where the lagoon dinosaurs are going to be. And our ichthyosaurus are ready to be released. Whilst decorating, I put the path all the way around. Now to focus on this enclosure, we're going to want some walnut and groundnut, just jotted at the back. We want some ground leaf. And our dragonecks are very happy with their enclosure. Moving back over here with this enclosure, I had chosen the dinosaurs I wanted to be in here, so now I was expanding their enclosure. The allosaurus. And straight away I got to decorate in their enclosure. And this is the enclosure. They have a pool of water, they have trees, and they have everything they could ask for. Now on to a new enclosure. So I started by flattening the ground, then filled it with rock, and then added some water, and then added some feeders as well. The baryonyx. And our baryonyx are happy with their enclosure. We have some triceratops into the zoo. I then had a look at what they need and started editing the enclosure for them. Now my dinosaurs are all happy with their enclosure, and I can move on to the next project. Branching off this way, we're going to do another lagoon. I stepped away from the lagoon for now, and then I did 2 new enclosures. So now we can go and add the new dinosaurs in. But we need to do the enclosure before we can do the dinosaurs. So here I'm just making the enclosure bigger, because we are actually having 3 dinosaurs in this enclosure. So I started laying some water down. Then I started adding the foliage for my dinosaurs. So we have Gallimimus. We have Struthiomimus. And we have Archaeophthalmimus. and all the dinosaurs are happy. Once they were all in, I just edited their enclosure just a tiny bit and they was all fine. Now we can move on to this enclosure, which is looking a bit bare. I raised the ground at the back of the enclosure, then filled the whole enclosure with rock, then added some water, and then of course they like sand as well, so I added that. Then I added 2 feeders, and then tried to cover it up with some trees. We have albertosaurus. And no, the dinosaur will not do your homework. And this enclosure is complete. We have 5 dinosaurs in this enclosure, and the guests are also loving it. Year 8 came. I added a monorail going around the park, as guests wanted more transport. And it goes all the way around, and there is another stop if you didn't want to go all the way, just there. Monorail's leaving now. I also did another little plaza right next to the first one, just in case they didn't want to walk all the way around or go back on themselves. Now time for a new enclosure. I added 3 feeders. I made a smiley face. I then covered the outer edge of the water in sand. Then added some forest. Welcome to Suchomimus. I love the colouring on these. The Suchomimus are happy with their enclosure. Overall, our park is doing great. We have 5,144 guests, and the ticket sales are doing quite good as well. Profit per minute is amazing. So I think the last thing to do is just accommodate the guests. I spent 10 years building this zoo, and the zoo has done quite well. So now I'm going to let the park do its thing. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!